Now, Jesus, our leader, our role model, I suppose if he cheated and stole, I guess we might be doing the same thing, right? Since he's our role model. But he didn't, as we know. He helped, healed, and gave. Gave of himself. The book says Jesus gave his life for our sins, just as God, our Father, planned in order to rescue us from this evil world in which we live. Jesus was divine, as we know. He's God. But he also was human, and we forget that sometimes. He was just a dude down here walking the streets like we do. Jesus was human, and he suffered just as we would have suffered going through that crucifixion. That whole crucifixion and pain and suffering that he went through. And don't forget the agony in the garden that he went through. A lot of pain and suffering going on there. Big time suffering. Where the book says he actually sweated drops of blood. Do you realize that's a real condition? It's called hematidrosis. Hematidrosis. Sounds like a dinosaur. Brontosaurus. Hematidrosis. Same type of thing. That's 12 letters. 12 letters. You get that on a triple word score. That's a beautiful score you accumulate. Although 12 letters, you don't get 12 letters. In Scrabble, there's only, I think a maximum of 7. So I guess that word would be out. But nevertheless, Jesus was a giver. So should we give? Does it make sense that we follow suit? And not just to ourselves and our immediate family, but to others, strangers. Yes, of course we should. It's pretty obvious. And it all comes back to us anyway, sometimes tenfold. The book says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. We should help strangers, people we don't know. Why not? As I said, what goes around comes around anyway. You'll get it back in one way or another. And the giving, especially when you're younger, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to give when you yourself are trying to prosper and be wealthy and successful and all that good stuff. I mean, you think to yourself, again, especially when you're younger, you say, okay, let's see now. I got $20 left to my name. And you're telling me to give $5 or $10 to him or her or them? Why? Why should I? Are you crazy? I'll wait until I have $200 and then maybe I'll give to another. And when you get $200, of course, then you say, you know what? I really should wait until I get $2,000. Yeah, $2,000. Then I can pay my bills. I'll have extra money for gas and drinking money. Then I will perhaps give. So you keep saying this type of thing, and in the end, you give nothing. So let's throw out all that figuring that goes on. Throw that out the window and just give. Give something, anything, something. And it carries more weight when you have little. You know that, right? God realizes your circumstances and he appreciates the giving even more. He just looks down on you with a bigger smile. Yeah. Jesus said to his disciples, the book says, many of the wealthy put in sizable amounts, but one poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins worth a few cents. I want you to observe that this poor widow contributed more than all the others who donated to the treasury. They gave from their surplus wealth, but she gave from her want, all that she had to live on. Yeah, there's a big difference there. And you look at the wealthy and poor, and you contrast those two sects, something like that. There's a word like that. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Those two parties. And answer me this, riddle me this, Batman. Why do the poor seem happier than the wealthy? Many times. Well, I'll tell you why. Because they are. I read about this billionaire Japanese guy, businessman, and he was miserable. He admitted to himself for many, many years, I'm miserable. Why is that? Is it because I'm wearing tight shoes? Is it because I have irritable bowel syndrome? Hey, you take 25 trips to the bathroom, that will put a definite damper on your day. No question about that. But this billionaire read about Jesus later in his life, and he got his answer. Oh, yes, he did. It changed his whole frame of mind. He realized that there was happiness in giving. In fact, he realized he received so much in order to give, not to keep. You receive to give. Huh. Imagine that. Yeah. And can you imagine how many lives this guy did change and could change with all that loot? Yeah. He saw situations and said to himself, hey, wait a minute. I can fix that for you. You don't have the means to do it, but I certainly do. That dude could change lives. And everybody can to a certain extent, whether it's large or small. You don't have to be a billionaire now. The book says, when much has been given a man, much will be required of him. More will be asked of a man to whom more has been entrusted. Hey, it's a beautiful system. And we all must, to some degree or another, tap into this format and pattern of behavior established by Jesus while he was down here on earth. A perfect system of giving. And for the few who have enough money for like 50 lifetimes, if you're going to be saving it like a nut, every little penny, what happens when you die with all that money, huh? You ever think about that? Huge amounts of money just laying around, and all it's going to do is fall into the hands of the government, unscrupulous lawyers, and ungrateful kids. Is that what happens? Yeah, it does. I wonder what happens, or what happened to all of Prince's and Michael Jackson's money, and Elvis for that matter. Where's all that money go? Just sitting around collecting dust. Well, in those situations, of course, people come out of the woodwork to claim it. Like cockroaches. It's a big free-for-all. They come out and they say, oh, yes, I'm Michael Jackson's a third cousin removed. Oh, yes, can't you tell by my voice? And then the guy turns to him and says, yeah, dude, but you're white.
Hello, Robert.
Yes, what's up, Barry?
Hey, you're moonwalking there in the studio there.
Yes, I was about to, and your call ruined that, but I was about to.
I probably did the studio a favor then. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. Stop saying you're just kidding. Come on, we did that when we were young kids. Oh, just kidding. And as adults, you realize nobody kids. Come on.
You don't want to see me moonwalk. I don't think I could.
Maybe I do.
Anyway, the Bible says, "Give and it shall be given unto you." You know, give and it shall be given unto you, and you're supposed to tithe 10%, and anything above the 10% is offered. So that's the only part in the Bible where you're supposed to test God is with your tithes and offerings.
I wonder how many people actually do give that 10% every week.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be money; it could be time too. You know.
Well, I think the tithing is specifically money, though, the 10% of money.
And then that's the only part of the Bible where you're supposed to test God with your tithes and offerings.
But Barry, how are you going to give when you got bills all over the place? You got your car just broke down. You need a new water heater. How are you going to give?
10% of what you have.
Well, how are you going to convince somebody? They're going to say, no, I got no time and money for that. I need it for myself.
Well, that's what I said. That's where you're supposed to test God. It comes back to you in due time.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
Exactly. I mean, people look at you funny. I'm not doing that, but it does. It does.
Can you imagine how productive, how good the economy would be, how proficient it would be if people did more giving than receiving, if they tried to produce more than they received?
Yeah.
You know, we just live by that philosophy.
Especially when you're young and you're 100% arrogant and selfish, and it's me. You can give at an early age. It doesn't have to be when you're older either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give according to your means.
Yeah, get what you can. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar. Render unto God what is God.
And render unto Barry what is Barry, which is a one-time call Sunday mornings.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
All right, thanks for the call. So as Christians, we should want to help the unfortunate and the needy. But then again, people are going to say, but wait a minute, I am the unfortunate and the needy. No, you're not. Knock it off. Look around the world. Look at South America and Africa and the East, out there in the East. All over the place, and in this country too. Look around the world and you'll realize that you aren't as bad as you think. People are starving. They haven't eaten in days. They live in constant fear. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things going on. If you're going to bury your head in the sand and think you got it so bad, you don't. Let's grow up a little bit. The book says, spend your money for your brother and friend, and hide it not under a stone to perish. Dispose of your treasure as the Most High commands, for that will profit you more than the gold. That's a beautiful thing. Hiding your money under a stone. Where do you hide your money? Huh? All that cash. Is it under your bed, mattress, floorboard, ceiling? Where is it? Do you put it in your sock drawer, figuring anybody that opens that drawer will smell that stink immediately and then close it? Is that your strategy? Now, I know a guy who had 3 hidden safes full of cash in his house. And why did he do that? Well, he didn't want the government to get it and tax it. He wanted to save it for his kids. He wanted to avoid that inheritance tax, which is brutal. I mean, that money's already been taxed. And you're going to tax it again with an inheritance tax, although it's not that large. But still, I don't care if it's 1%. It's too much. I mean, the government's got to back off in that area. That's just not right. They act like vultures trying to pick off the last scrap off the bone. So let's use our money for others and, of course, for our families and ourselves. True misers, talking about misers, they don't even spend money on themselves. They're chintzy to the last penny. And for what? The book says, to whom will he be generous who is stingy with himself and does not enjoy what is his own? He punishes himself by his own miserliness. If he is generous, it is by mistake. And in the end, he displays his greed. So let's get over this selfish, miserly greed. We receive once again in order to give. Get it through that big head of yours, you penny-pinching tightwad you. You got to loosen up. You have the ability to help others. What are you waiting for? You'll start to begin to enjoy the enjoyment of others. Their smiles will become your smiles. You can do this. Make that change, man. You got it in you. You do. You big palooka, you. So our money can be fuel for the love and thoughtfulness, fuel for the fire, all right? To actually care and be concerned for others, that's a good thing. To have empathy for your fellow man. Give to others as one day somebody will be giving to you. Remember that. So money, without question, can be a useful tool, like a ratchet. How did we get things done before we had the ratchet? Ratchet has a double meaning now. The young people use it. It's slang for like yuck, for something gross or trashy. You can call anything ratchet.